Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over what interested me the most in the patch notes. Sorry if I miss anything that's interesting to just about everybody, but yeah, a lot of notes. Here's just the ones that caught my attention the most. Anyway, enjoy. Of course, first thing, all the new gems. Sadly, not as interested in the new attacks really that they've added, but hey, I'm really interested in seeing the supports. In the previous video I went over the new stats, so some of these are pretty juicy. Of course, we have the melee rebalance. That is legit. Can't wait to try the animation canceling and see how that really works and how much that is going to make racing a bit more competitive. Definitely been trying to practice racing, still doing it. Just gotta get in there and do it though. So anyway, next on the list, let's see what we got. One of the things here in the character balance section was this melee damage for the stun. It's pretty cool actually. I'm really interested to see how that really works, if we can get some awesome super stun locky builds coming out with that. Oh, right here. Facebreaker buff, yeah. Right here, this. Spectral Shield Throw, Freezing Pulse. This is huge. Love it. I've been waiting for this for 3 leagues, since whenever they made Freezing Pulse have good enough damage and buffed it, I was wanting to play one. I think that was in Incursion. Felt bad going through doors, especially in Incursions, and I haven't really tried to touch it since. Now, not this league because of all the melee, definitely probably in the future, gonna play Freeze Pulse. Okay, there's a lot of skills here, so I'm just going to pick out my favorites, probably the ones that I'm going to use. Of course, all the guard stuff, I'm going to skip over a lot of that and some of how the mechanics have changed. Of course, that's really interesting, being able to use things like Immortal Call and Molten Shell, which is there on the screen. But I'm just going to hit the skills that interest me the most. Cyclone, we've got anything from just a normal Cyclone build to cast while channeling, doing something like cast while channeling Trickster, cast while channeling Chieftain, cast while channeling even, I guess, Elementalist, I guess. Kind of got wrecked in this patch. That's also a negative. So, oops. But, yeah. Cyclone, pretty hype. Lacerate. I love bleed builds. I think this is going to be my bleed skill. I want to do Spectral Shield Throw bleed, but I don't know if anything's going to compete with Lacerate as far as bleeds go. This just looks too good. So, probably going to play one of those builds. On a side note, Shield Charge also got the same thing as Spectral Shield Throw as far as shield damage. Rip on the Face Breakers Shield Charge, but, I mean, now we can just do a Shield Charge. Looks good. Pretty hype. Hey, with that said though, maybe even a bleed Shield Charge. I know I did bleed Spectral Shield Throw, so yeah. One of the negative things for here is probably Bane. I mean, I guess it felt a little too good, but I don't know. I hope this still is good enough to not feel just like a slight supplemental damage boost, but we'll see how that feels. Real quick, just as a side note, they added to everything a flat damage of some sorts to the skills to help melee out. This is awesome. I mean, that's just a huge change all around the board. Feels really good. So yeah. Blade Flurry though looks kind of interesting. If it's got big enough range as far as the area, that might feel pretty good. If it feels good enough to play again, I'll definitely be hitting that Blade Flurry. Just the single target was always good. It's just the clearing just felt garbage after they changed it. But anyway, maybe Consecrated Path. Might try it. Dual Strike pretty much got the same treatment as Cleave did, but with the added more critical strike chance against enemies on full life. So that would be kind of cool to pair with the Assassin and just see what kind of damage can actually come out of this. Because, yeah, the more damage with hits and ailments as well, that could be kind of interesting. Do kind of Assassin crit, or maybe an Assassin kind of poison type situation. Earthquake. If Earthquake feels good enough as far as how big the area is, and with those big hits, Definitely going to be looking at Earthquake this league. It's definitely going to be on my list. Either an Earthquake build or an Ice Crash build is going to be one of those two. I'm probably going to try to do a build on that. Flicker Strike. Flicker Strike. I'm really interested to know if this now grants 15% chance to gain a Frenzy Charge on hit. If that is affected by Multi-Strike, will you get 3 hits to try to gain 1 back, or have they changed Multi-Strike to kind of act how it works with the charge from Tectonic Slam? Will you just use a Frenzy Charge every time you hit from the Multi-Strike, or does it still work the same? Really curious on that. Frenzy is looking good. It is probably going to carry its own damage. Slightly missing on the AoE, of course, but man, does it look like it's going to pack a punch. Definitely going to be looking at it. If I'm doing Flicker Strike, of course I'm going to have that, but it's not going to be my main source of damage. It would be kind of cool just to see, again, people using Frenzy as their single target attack when they have two-handed weapons and they're using 2 6-link skills. That'd be kind of cool to kind of go back to that with, like, say, an Infernal Blow in a Frenzy type situation or something. Glacial Hammer, its defensive ability to freeze pretty much, I'm guessing, just about anything. That's how they kind of described it. So it would be crazy to see some, like, crazy high health bosses. Like, can you freeze Shaper? I don't think they have immunity, Shaper and Elder, but that would be crazy to get some freezes on stuff like that. Ground Slam. Sadly, I was hoping a little more for this, so this one's kind of a negative here. But yeah, may try it, but I don't know if it's gonna really compare. I know at level 20 it's unchanged and it's getting that flat fizz damage, but I'm not sure if that's enough, especially compared to what Tectonic Slam has, AoE and damage. I'm really curious to see what comes out of Heavy Strike, but probably not one that I'm going to be playing personally. Ice Crash looks pretty cool as far as damage. They definitely have a larger area, so really curious to see what this ability can do, especially with some of the new nodes on the tree and just the increase in damage. What is it, the breath, that mace, the ice mace that deals double damage on shield enemies, that build's probably going to be decent or insane this league, so really looking forward to that. Infernal Blow, one of my favorite old school builds. Really looking to see if this has enough damage to measure up. As far as clearing, this is probably going to be insane. If you actually get to stack multiple stages when you hit, since now everything has a base splash on its own, and then you throw a melee splash in there, this will probably be insane for clear speed. Infernal Blow, probably OP for clearing stuff. This may be one of the ways I try to level. Molten Strike, definitely took a hit. I'm not sure if the single target's really going to feel that bad, considering how much damage Molten Strike has had. But one thing that I find interesting, though, is it looks like its clear speed actually has went up. You are getting less damage from the projectiles, so again, pretty big hit. But now the projectiles will try to spread across all the enemies. Right here it says produces evenly among all targets if it can. So that could give a whole lot smoother clear with this skill. So I'm really interested to see if this actually feels good to clear. And again, even at 50% less, from what I can tell, the damage doesn't really feel that bad because of just how absurd it already is. Puncture. Again, I love bleed builds, but I don't know. I don't think Puncture is going to compete as much as Lacerate. I mean, this is 30% up to 49% more damage at level 20. 135%. I'd have to go back and look at Lacerate, but yeah, I think this is maybe the 5% faster that you get, or I guess that goes up to 10% faster, so maybe that's what does it. Right now, Lacerate looks to be the way I'm going. Maybe this will be my single target, so I guess we'll just have to see. Smite I thought was already pretty good, but looks like it's got a pretty decent buff as far as its damage goes, so I don't know. Maybe this attack speed multiplier went down enough, but that definitely is a pretty big buff to its percentage scaling. Soul Rend. Thought it was going to receive a much bigger nerf than this, but really doesn't seem that bad. This one's kind of funny. Spectral Throw now used at level 1. Stormbrand really took a hit to its AoE. I'm curious to see how this does as far as spellcaster leveling goes. Sunder looks like it's going pretty strong, but it did drop down another 10% on its attack speed essentially, so we'll have to see what happens. But it'll probably still feel really good, especially with that 35% scaling on the damage. Probably going to be the way to level melee, but since everything else got buffed, we'll have to see. Like I said, I might be trying Infernal Blow. Sweep actually getting a huge amount of damage for percentage damage. I don't know if it's going to be enough with the attack speed multiplier going down that much, but I mean, using the now always knocks back enemies on hit, that's going to be pretty big for hegemony builds. So good luck with that one. Tectonic Slam getting a pretty sizable buff, 40% at gym level 1 and 40% at gym level 20. Now the attack speed multiplier goes to 80%, but with that much damage, I mean, I'll take it. It's gained some length with the primary fissure, lost some length with the secondary fissure, and the width of the first secondary fissure is now 7. I don't think that'll be much smaller. The video didn't really show much less. So I still think this is going to be the superior for the comparison to Ground Slam. The only thing Ground Slam has going for it is I guess it's going to be more of the stunning skill, so it's probably going to be safer for leveling with that change to how the physical damage stuns. So maybe it'll be good leveling for Ground Slam, but I still feel like damage it's going to fall short compared to Tectonic Slam. Vigilant Strikes actually receiving a pretty sizable buff as far as the percentage goes. Attack speed 85%, but I know a friend of mine played a Vigilant Strike build way back in the day. I don't know. We'll see if he plays it again. But that would be kind of interesting with how much damage it has. Viper Strike. I love poison builds. This is going to be my poison build for this league. I try to find one just about every league. Sometimes I get to it, sometimes I don't. But I'm definitely going to be doing Viper Strike. That huge amount of chaos damage added to it. That is insane. This is going to be probably a safe. I'm going to have to see how much physical conversion I can get to chaos. But I'm thinking you could get almost 100% from Fizz to chaos in certain situations. So reflect immune poison build, here I come. With that said, I went ahead and decided to look at Morsu. I knew it had some conversion, so you could get 40% conversion. That might be a viable build to go with this, especially with the added damage to Viper Strike now. Also, another option real quick is the Innsbury Edge. This actually gives the 25% physical damage converted to chaos damage. Though, I haven't really played a poison sword build, but who knows? Maybe. See how it goes. One big negative here is Warlord's Mark. I know they were talking about the mana, but it's also the life leech too that's gone from spells and now is only attacks only. So, kind of rip on Warlord's Mark, but I don't know. Probably find some kind of alternative, hopefully. But yeah, that one feels pretty rough on a couple of builds that I used to play. Actually, I really used it more for the life instead of the mana. And Winter Orb. Pretty big nerf as far as clear speed goes. But overall, the damage actually went up on the top end at 20. And if you're standing still channeling, you have the same frequency as you used to. So probably a cast while channeling staff build where you're using that plus say Ice Spear is probably going to be the way to go with Winter Orb now. Can't wait to get into Path of Building with Multi-Strike. Definitely looking forward to that. Fortify support is pretty big. You can use it on everything melee now. Really easy to keep up, and it gives enough damage to actually replace an already existing damage gem. Speaking of poison builds, we have poison support and lesser poison support looking pretty good for the amount of damage that they add. One of the big things, and hopefully in a video coming up, is going to be going over all the new nodes in the passive tree. Rip on the crit multi for the Unnatural Instinct. It's now just accuracy next to the Scion. Cultist, they pulled out the Wicked Ward. Wicked Ward definitely received a pretty big hit to how effective it is. And yeah, kind of curious to see what kind of builds come out around that. I'm more of a life guy anyway, but I know a lot of people that play ES are feeling pretty oof right now. But I mean, ES is really strong, so they should be fine. I'm really interested in the Mortal Conviction and Blood Magic thing. That's pretty cool. Gonna probably be using it in a build, if not a few. All the Ascendancy balance. Slayer looks good. Gladiator is still really strong and gets a little bonus. Champion is really good, and as far as just added bonuses to it, cool. Again, just like Gladiator, both of those were really strong. Juggernaut kind of got a slight buff there. That's kind of cool. Berserker is just huge. The amount of attack speed coming off of that thing is crazy. Definitely going to try to probably play around it in some situations, especially in softcore. Can't resist it there. And then we got Chieftain coming out with some decent damage, and I've actually got a couple of builds that look kind of promising with how much regen it gets, specifically for Righteous Fire and a few things like that. Again, Cultist feels bad, man. Feels pretty bad. They lost the 150 to maximum energy shield. Cultist definitely feels bad. I already said it feels bad for the just energy shield in general, but man, that's a big oof. Big oof. Elementalist also feeling a pretty big oof, but wasn't as bad as I was expecting when they talked about it for the actual shock damage going down. I was expecting that to be a bit more, but as far as the proliferation, feels bad. Guardian, pretty much the same. Trickster actually was, again, worse than I thought. I didn't know they'd be taking away more than just the chance to, or the generation of the Ghost Shroud stacks. But yeah, that is a decent nerf actually to how strong that is. But I will say though, still really strong, still really defensive. Shouldn't be that bad, but I don't know. We'll see with how the accuracy has changed. You might have to really invest into Trickster or into Evasion so that the Ghost Shroud stacks really help out there. For the Deadeye, probably won't feel too much different. And the Ascendant, they changed all the stuff involving the Berserker, Chieftain, Champion, and Gladiator to kind of match the new changes. And yeah, overall looks really good. Definitely thinking about playing the Ascendant in one, maybe two builds that I've got planned. Item balances. The big things here is the attack-based and spell-based staves and daggers. That's really cool. Kind of bummer for the dense fossils. But hey, again, ES really strong. Probably not going to feel that bad. Still going to feel pretty good to play ES. Again, I'm a life guy, but yeah. Horizon Orbs can drop. Now they're just not the Harbinger stuff, so that feels really good. Abyssals got hit in both damage and the life, mana, and energy shield values on it. Probably shouldn't feel too bad really to still use them. And yeah, I mean really they were pretty build enabling, but that is kind of one of the things I liked about them. But other than just being build enabling though, they really carried some builds farther than what they should have. With the lowering though of Abyss Jewels, they also increased what you can get on weapons, so that feels pretty good. So definitely kind of looking forward to that. I wonder what they did with the Hyun's Fury. I know there's nothing in the item balance for it, but if they are changing what added damage we can get, I know I used Abyss Jewels to really make that build, well, actually do absurd damage, so I guess it really doesn't need that much damage. And with the melee buffs, okay, fair enough. I just kind of talked myself out of that one, but anyway, moving on. Cool thing on normal jewels real quick is the weapon specific increased physical damage modifiers on jewels now apply to all damage types. As far as unique items, there has been quite a few changed. A lot of the numbers that they talked about was accuracy, as you can see here. The one I'm kind of most curious in really is seeing how Death's Hand does with its new damage, if it'll actually be competitive with other items. Pillar of a Cage God, which is one of the builds that I do where I called it a Pillar of a Cage Jug, is the long staff for it is now going to become the iron staff for it, and that should give it a bit of a damage increase, also upping its crit chance, at least from the base stats anyway. So if that does go up, that'll be pretty cool. Sadly, we'll be lowering its base attack speed by a little bit, but hey, overall should be more damage, so pretty hype. Of course, they're redoing some of the already existing uniques. The biggest ones I'm really interested in is Moroi Urki and Kamp's Primacy. Seeing those come back into the game would be pretty nice. The numbers here look pretty decent, but I haven't really compared them. But I'm definitely going to be looking at Moroi Urki and Kamp's Primacy when we can finally see that one. Sadly, that one wasn't in the patch notes as far as any numbers. Another really interesting one, though, is the Rebuke of the Vaal. That's getting a lot of added damage compared to what it was. So really interesting to see if maybe dual wielding those actually becomes a pretty good build at some point. Talk about the ultimate conversion trickster build. One of my favorite changes of this patch is how they're making the game harder. Magic monsters are now getting 50% more life at level 1, up to 75% more life at level 68 and above. And rare monsters are going 33% more, up to 100% more at level 68 and above. That is crazy. Also, they're granting 54% more experience, so I guess that'll be welcomed if you can kill them fast enough. Side note, sadly, we did not get any betrayal changes yet, but they're coming in 3.8, so I guess we'll just grin and bear it. Kind of cool change here is the items dropped exclusively from prophecy generated monsters can now drop from all prophecy generated monsters. That's a pretty cool little change. A big deal that we got is all the new sextant mods, so pretty hyped to see those. That'll be really cool. Also, the Vaal Orb cost equal to the Chaos no longer is needed for corrupt maps on Zana. That is crazy. I can't wait to do some really juiced 8 modded maps without having to worry about that Vaal cost. Kind of an interesting little change. They're upping the life on lower tier map bosses, but it's still going to be the same for 15 and above. They also changed how Shaper Strongholds and Elder Influence maps will have monster packs in them now. So that's pretty cool. Always getting pack size depending on no matter what influence you have on it. I'll take it. They also got rid of at white and yellow tier Shaper popping in to be a dick and Elder coming in to slam with the tentacles. Coward Trial got changed. Can't wait to see that map. That'll be kind of cool. Definitely kind of one of those old ones that fell off. It was really exciting when they first came out with it. Then later it just felt like a chore of a map to do just to get that completion. They improved the Belfry and Lava Lakes fight, giving extra monsters that give us XP and loot, hopefully making those fights feel a bit more rewarding. I like that. Always enjoy that. That's what I've been saying that they needed to do, period, for just bosses. Make them a little bit longer, but make them huge loot pinatas. I'm all for that. They also added similar stuff to the Basilica and the Terrace fights as well as the Sunken City. Oh, and the Gardens. A lot of these boss fights too have been completely reworked because of their counterparts through leveling, is what I'm assuming. One sad thing for me is that Harbinger was not in the Zana mod list, but we still have Beyond at the top and we have Parandasis League, so that'll be kind of cool. So there we go, TLDR, still pretty long, but there was a lot to go through. So anyway, that's it for this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.